But let's go now to Behnam Ben Taleblu, who's a senior fellow focusing on Iran at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's foreign policy think tank in Washington. Welcome. Very good to speak to you. What do you make of this?
Well, great to be with you. Iraq currently is contested territory. It's contested in the political sense between Washington and Tehran. Both sides are trying to woo Baghdad. Washington is trying to make sure that Iraq is strong and sovereign and stable and capable of rejecting Iranian influence, hence the surprise visit there, designed to offset Iran, designed to preempt Iran's puncturing of Iraq's state and society and economics. And Iran is trying to subvert Iraq, have its proxies run amok, and be part of Iran's larger, quote-unquote, axis of resistance in the region.
There is an argument, of course, isn't there, that Iraq is Iran's backyard. It's kind of more entitled to be there than the United States is.
Well, Iraq is Iran's backyard, but you don't do things in your neighbor's backyard that you would do in your own. There is a boundary there, there is a fence there, and of course there is cultural ties there, there's business ties there, but there's also ethnic and strategic enmity. These two countries fought a war with one another, and if Washington is being invited in by Iraq or other powers in the Gulf, then it would behoove Iran to act accordingly.
There is an argument, of course, that long-term American policy has strengthened Iran in the region.
Iran, of course, has exploited, as you know, many American missteps in the Middle East, but in particular the Persian Gulf. Iran has filled vacuums in Iraq after the U.S. withdrawal, and Iran is in the business of saying that America is not a trustworthy partner, and that's something that Iran is likely to step up its messaging on should it go to Iraq in the future. That's why the Secretary's trip to Iraq was so important.
Yeah, how do you feel about this policy of what you might call saber-rattling with Iran? Hasn't worked too well so far, has it? Do you expect it to work better in the future? Why would it?
Well, tomorrow, the administration's maximum pressure campaign against Iran enters year 2. For the first year, that policy has been defined pretty much by tough economic sanctions. Hopefully, creative military posturing and diplomacy could lead to something here. The ultimate goal of all this pressure, of course, is to drive Iran back to the negotiating table. If it is true, and I do believe it's true, that the Iranians were looking to strike American assets in the Middle East, perhaps even in Iraq, then the deployment of a carrier strike group not only course corrects for about 8 months of having 0 carriers in the Persian Gulf, but it also offsets and incentivizes Iran to back down from some of its more malign regional activities and terrorist activities in the Middle East.
Yeah, and on that point, I know your think tank has the ear of many in the administration behind you. Where do you expect American policy to go on this next?
Well, it does need to make sure that maximum pressure means maximum pressure. FED has had the good fortune of testifying before Congress on a bipartisan basis and briefed the Obama, Trump, and even the Bush administration going back a little over a decade. But with respect to year 2 of max pressure, that means making sure they throw in the kitchen sink when it comes to sanctions, that the Gulf states are able to coordinate together more so to offset the Iranian missile and military threats that are rising, and to make sure that something is being done about rolling back Iran's attempt to create this land bridge connecting Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon to project power into the Eastern Mediterranean and threaten Israel.
Behnam Ben Taleblu, thank you very much.
Thank you.